Group A is an extremely exciting place to begin because we have the hosts, Germany, who are three-time winners, three-time runners-up. This is their first Euro that they're hosting since the reunification of East and West Germany. So it's going to be amazing. So I'm extremely excited to see what takes place in this group. Let's look at some of the betting markets here. And again, if you're not into sports betting, I totally get it. You don't need to place a dime on any of these games for this to be a valuable table, because what this shows us is what we can expect, what's going to be the most likely outcome given looking at the odds. You can see here that Germany to qualify or to advance to the round of 16 is minus 2,000. The lower the number, the more likely it is to happen. So minus 2,000 is an awful lot. Anything close to zero, so like minus 100, plus 100, those are going to be like your average. That's going to be like 50-50 odds. So minus 2,000 is crazy. You can see that where Germany gets to that in between the minus 300 and that plus 120 in the quarterfinal and semifinal, that's kind of what the sportsbook expect them to finish in between there. So this table just gives us kind of a good idea of what to expect. It also shows us kind of how we might expect the table to turn out. Again, this is just based on what you could bet on right now. You might disagree, and if you do, that's an opportunity for you to bet. Well, let's dive into the teams. Let's talk about Germany. Again, being the host of the tournament, they had an automatic qualifying. So let's look back and kind of see how they got here, because it has been pretty tumultuous since the hiring of the young coach here. They started off that campaign out winning a game in their first, 5 matches? Yes, 5 matches before they got a win. But then they started winning game after game after game against some pretty tough competition, the Netherlands, France, Austria, to name a few. So it's really difficult to kind of predict or project what Germany might do. Again, in the Euros, last time around in 2020, they got knocked out in the round of 16. They have not won this tournament since 1996. So being able to bring it back now that they're hosting it, would be huge for them. I think it's a tall ask, but let's look at the squad real quick. Here we see the goalkeepers and defenders, and you just see like Neuer, Ter Stegen. Both of those guys are phenomenal goalkeepers. And if you go down the list of these defenders, especially in that center back position where you have Jonathan Tah and Antonio Rudiger, what a solid back two, and Schlotterbeck could play there as well. Borussia Dortmund made it to the Champions League final against Real Madrid. Bayer Leverkusen won the Bundesliga. Those guys are phenomenal. Mittelstadt on the wing as a wingback, absolutely amazing season he had for Stuttgart. And of course, Joshua Kimmich is incredible. So a lot to like from a defensive perspective for Germany. If you look at their midfield and offense, there's still so much to like here. You've got Gundogan, you've got Toni Kroos coming back. I think that's such a fun story, coming back out of retirement, joining us again. We also have Thomas Muller, the ageless wonder himself. So it's going to be a really fun team to watch. I'm extremely curious to see what ends up happening with the blend of youth and age with experience and the excitement of some of these young guys like Musiala and Florian Wirtz and Kai Havertz. All of these guys had incredible campaigns. I know Kai Havertz gets shit on an awful lot, but he was phenomenal, scoring important goals for Arsenal. I believe he just scored one either today or yesterday in their last friendly game. And then you've got some great experience, guys like Gundogan and Sane, who I mentioned. Thomas Muller, I always think he kind of looks like, if you ever watched now I can't even remember what it's called. We're moving on. He looks just like one of the ducks from DuckTales. It was their cousin. Anyway, it's a long story. They're going to have the home crowd behind them. Germany, I think, is going to do very, very well. I'm going to go through a best case, worst case scenario. I think the best case, the realistic best case for Germany is I do think they have the quality to win the whole damn thing. I think anything less than semifinals, I think German fans will be disappointed. I think they can expect quarterfinals at minimum. Semis, I think, is probably the most likely outcome. But what an incredible story that would be if they actually could win the whole thing. Let's move on to Scotland, where Clark has done a phenomenal job getting Scotland to back-to-back Euros. Great seeing them back on the international stage. Now, they famously have not gotten past the group stage, and it's going to be hard in this group as well. So, what have they done to get here? Well, they were runners up in their group, going 5-2-1. They averaged 2.125 goals, so just over 2 goals a game in qualification, which is pretty good, and only average getting up 1 a game. So pretty decent there. But then when you dig a little bit deeper, you can look at some of the teams that they played. They were runners up to Spain in this group. But other than that, it was Georgia, it was Norway, who is a tough team, but Cyprus, not so much. Georgia, now they did qualify, but they took a long way to get there. So I'm curious to see what kind of Scotland shows up. Scott McTominay, of course, led the way with 7 goals. You look at their team, a lot of names that we're familiar with. I want to give a shout out to Liam Kelly. Those who know. But you got the wing backs and Andy Robertson and Kieran Tierney. I think they're going to be solid as always. It'll be interesting to see who Scotland go with in the middle alongside them. But their midfield is kind of what they're known for. With John McGinn, you had a really great season, especially at the start of the season with Aston Villa, Scott McTominay, of course, cult hero for Manchester United. When he's given the opportunity, he really can come through. It's going to be interesting to see what Scotland does with Dykes having to leave a competition with that injury. Will Che Adams be able to step up and make a name for himself? Again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think a lot is going to fall on if Che Adams or whoever ends up getting that opportunity up front, what they can do. I think the best case scenario for Scotland is advancing out of the group and getting to the round of 16. I don't really see them getting anything beyond that. I think that would be a real win for them. Worst case scenario, and something that is still within the realm of possibility, it would be getting not only grouped, but getting 0 points. No wins, no draws. That's in the realm. Let's move on to Hungary. Hungary is another really exciting up-and-coming team. They've been in the last 2 Euros as well. They have a ton of experience. They were unfortunate last year to be stuck in the group of death. Not last year, last competition in the 2020 Euros. They were grouped with Portugal, France, and Germany. That, and they had no Szoboszlai. No wonder they couldn't get out of the group. That was a real tough one. They have been phenomenal in qualifications. You can see here they went 5-3-0. No losses, undefeated, which is absolutely insane. They averaged 2 goals a game, getting up less than 1. But you can see the competition wasn't exactly the toughest in this group. Bulgaria, Montenegro, Latvia, Serbia, not exactly a tough group. So kind of hard to know what we're getting with this Hungary team, although we do know that they play. I mean, this is what I love about international soccer is some teams just rise above the names on their back and play for the crest. You know, they play for their country, and the sum is greater than its parts. Hungary's one of those teams. Other teams have all the talent in the world, and for some reason, when you try to put them together, it just doesn't mesh. And it's not always the same with different countries, although there are certain patterns. But Hungary is one of those teams that play really, really well as a team, a very good collective unit. A couple of names that you'll notice here for Hungary. We've got Kirkes, who had a phenomenal year for Bournemouth. I thought he really was a player. I mean, I say that. He's a guy that I targeted many times when playing EAFC. He's a good purchase in the game. Love him an awful lot. Throat's getting a little dry, so we're going to have a little sip of the beverage. Wild Orban is another guy to keep an eye on, another good defender for Hungary. We look at their midfield. and attack. And this is where they really are or can be pretty dangerous. Of course, we've talked about Dominic Szoboszlai a little bit here for Liverpool. I love him. He is the kind of the focal point of this Hungarian attack, and they play the ball through him, and it's so perfect for his style. He really does live up to the occasion. I think he's going to have an incredible tournament, even though it might not be enough to really get them as far as some people would like. Varga has been really good for them up front, scoring a ton of goals for them. I think, the best case scenario for this Hungary team, I think they could get out of the round of 16 and get into the quarterfinals if they have a favorable matchup, or even if they just punch above their weight. I think they have the quality and the skill to do that one or two times. I just think, it's a long road getting through these Euros and being able to beat great team after great team. And let's not mistake ourselves. There's so many great teams in the Euros. Is going to be tough. So I think people should expect, if you're a Hungarian fan, you should expect to get to the round of 16. Anything less than that, I think being grouped would be a real disappointment for Hungary, given just how they got here and Scotland not being great. And this next team we're about to talk about, Switzerland, having some struggles of their own. Now, last Euros, they were amazing. They made it to the quarterfinals after beating France in a huge upset in penalties. What an exciting game that was. But they were runner-up in their group. They gave up the most goals in qualification. Now, beyond to that, they also played 10 games in their group, whereas many other groups only played 8 games. So a little bit difficult, but they did score 22 goals. They have scored 2+ goals in 7 straight games. They average over 2.2 goals throughout qualification. So absolutely stunning. Agune was their leading scorer with 6 goals. So yeah, Switzerland's going to be an interesting team. They, again, you look at that group, they went 4-5-1, right? So not exactly stellar. And when you look at the teams they played, it does raise a few questions. Yes, they beat Belarus and Israel combined 8-0. That's amazing. But they struggled against Andorra. They drew against Romania. They drew against Kosovo and against Belarus and against Israel and Kosovo. It wasn't exactly a smooth path, and it wasn't against very strong competition. So I think Switzerland, while they have some really exciting names that we're going to look at right here, these are one of the teams that I always feel like maybe just play down to their competition instead of rise to the occasion. But they are absolutely stellar in goal with Jan Sommer, who helped Inter Milan win the Scudetto this year, an Italian champion, absolutely great. And you look at some of the names they have on defense with Akanji and Starr, that's really a solid center back pairing that you would think would be enough to keep other teams from scoring. Yet, as we said, these guys have given up so many goals. I like Ricardo Rodriguez. He has been a mainstay for this squad for a long time and continues to play well, even though he's playing at Torino, still in Serie A, but not quite at that elite level. Moving on to the midfield and attack, this is where this team really can be exciting. Of course, Granit Xhaka moved from Arsenal to Bayer Leverkusen and won the whole damn thing this year there. Incredible year for him. Zakaria is a guy I like a lot too. Shaqiri, he is playing in the U.S. now for the Chicago Fire, but he is still a very good attacking midfielder for this Switzerland team. I'm so curious what they're going to do up front. Breel Embolo remains one of my favorite people to, again, the AFC. He's a fun one to get. But his injury has just been so riddled. His career has just been so riddled with injuries. It's been really been too bad. So I'm hoping he gets the opportunity. Guys like Vargas, Okafor, Uni are all going to be in the mix there. And Doi for Bologna had a great breakout year as well. So a lot of interesting names on this Switzerland team. And it's going to be exciting to see what they're able to do. When it's all said and done, what should we expect from this squad? Well, I think best case scenario for them is they get through the round of 16 and they end up in the quarterfinals. But again, I don't think they have the quality to move beyond that. Worst case scenario, I really do think Switzerland could be grouped. I think they could not advance at all, even with the opportunity for a third place finisher to make it. I could see them missing out, maybe losing to Hungary and Germany and drawing with Scotland or something like that. Or even if they did beat Scotland, maybe it wouldn't be by enough for the goal difference to get them through. So I think that'd be the worst case scenario. I think round of 16 is probably the expected. Looking at the betting odds for this Group A, we basically have match day 1 and match day 2 available right now. And you can see that Germany is the heavy favorite in their match against Scotland at minus 425. Basically, that means there's like a 75% chance or greater, maybe more, I forget the math right now, that they're going to win that game. Hungary, Switzerland. Switzerland is favored a tiny bit in that match. Germany, Hungary, Germany heavily favored. And then that Scotland-Switzerland game is pretty much either they're leading either a Switzerland win or a Scotland draw or win. So interesting to see what happens there. My favorite bets for Group A, I've got 3 of them for you here. I'm going to go Germany minus 1.5 versus Scotland. So that means Germany has to win that game by 2 goals. I mentioned it earlier. I think Germany gets out the gate quick in this tournament. I think it sets up really well for them. I think they're going to go in and win that game 2-3-0 maybe. I think it could be tough. Maybe Scotland get one back, but I think Germany put up enough that they win this game by 2. My next bet is Switzerland-Hungary, both teams to score. So, like I said, Switzerland have scored 2+ and 7 straight. Hungary also averaged 2 goals a game and have scored in all but 1 game in the qualifier. So I think this just sets up nicely for both teams. They're going to be, I think, excited to be out there, and both of them know Germany is in this group. You need to get your wins where you can. This is going to be a tough one. It could be pretty tight. If you lose this game or even draw this game, it might not be enough to get through. So I think they both go after it. I think we see some goals. My final group bet for this one is Scotland to finish bottom of the group. I saw this at plus 110, which means you get a little bit more than even money on it. You could also bet it Scotland to lose all 3 games, and you get it at plus 600. So in European, it would be like 7.0. Pretty amazing odds there for something that I think could happen. Now, this is how I see this breaking down. This is my projected finish based on my analysis, but also looking at the Vegas numbers as well as in simulated results to see what could happen based on my numbers, basically. So I project Germany to finish in first place with 7 points, Switzerland and Hungary both to have 4 points, but Switzerland to have a better goal differential, and then Scotland, I do have them projected at 0 points. You're going to have to listen all the way through the end of the long one, or just find the betting guide if you want to hear how the whole tournament finishes. But for now, in this video, if you're just watching the Group A video, this is the projected finish. Please do go listen to all of my other videos here on all the other groups and the betting guide. For those of you watching the whole thing on YouTube or listening to the podcast, bless you. We're 1/6 of the way there. I'm halfway through my first beverage. I think we're right on track. I'm going to take a sip, and then we're going to keep going. Finally,